All right, I'm gonna try this again. The last one I recorded was straight garbanzo beans, aka garbage. So here's an update for the Max Oak Blue Eddie AC200P that was refurbished that I purchased from AliExpress, right? So they reached out to me and they said basically that um, they were like, "Oh, our bad." I'm paraphrasing, of course. We'll send you the cables, and I'm like, "Nah, the cables aren't the issue. Sorry." Um, so I let them know it doesn't seem like this thing was refurbished, so on and so forth. So they offered to email me a label, and what else did they say? And then I followed that up with one, can you please send me one kind of in tandem? I could be using that word wrong, but can you send me one while I'm getting things together to send to you? It's always worth a shot, right? I'm not saying that they're going to say yes, but I try. I hate to be inconvenienced to return it and then have to wait. I feel like the second best option is like once I get the label and they scan the label, like, can y'all fire it out to me so I don't have to be waiting for too long? Another thing you guys need to be mindful of is that myself, Set Type, and Wayne kind of noticed a discrepancy. I have in my firmware, it says the AC200P, but Set Type and Wayne, it says they have an AC200. So you need to check your device for those of you who bought one. You need to check your device to see if you got an AC200P instead of an AC200. Now, I don't know if the situation is that actually an AC200 and not a 200P. Maybe these devices were returned and they're from like a period of time where it was right on the heels when the AC200P came out. I'm not sure. Don't get me to speculating on stuff. But I know that when the AC200 was a Kickstarter, people were upset because the AC200P kind of came out like during the Kickstarter. And I shouldn't say that. People got AC200Ps when people still hadn't gotten their AC200s. So that the 200 is lithium ion, the 200P is lithium iron phosphate. So check your firmware. I don't know. The other thing is you need to be mindful of, so because of that, I reached out to them. I was like, hey, can you please make sure that the device is actually refurbished? Like, please, because I don't want to get ultimately another device and then maybe that one has the older firmware. So I was like, can you make sure the firmware is up to date? Can you make sure it has all the accessories? And can you make sure that you actually looked at it? You know what I mean? That's kind of where I was. Another thing that I wanted to update you guys on is this idea of these Renogy 320 watt panels, right? So I have one of those. I saw a posting in the marketplace for somebody who was selling a few of them, and they also had them listed for $350. Now, if you remember a while ago, they were going for $600 from Home Depot, but now they're at $700, effectively making them $350 a pop. But even still, with somebody locally trying to sell them brand new, the thing with the Home Depot situation is that you can get them shipped to the store for free. So you don't have to pay freight shipping on too. But these people, these two guys who have them listed, I think the guys is that we listen them for $350 because you don't have to pay shipping. But I don't think that that's a fair price. So I'm thinking about whether I should see if I should get another one. And I might even see if I should get like two, right? Because I have the potential to get an Alcatel P2000 or P2001, whatever it is. I'm still kind of like working that out. I ain't gonna count it until it's on my doorstep. And then I may have the potential to have another bigger one in about 60 days or so, or 45 days or so. And then also I'm waiting on the AC200P. So I feel like that would be about three big power stations that I could cover three of my four zones. And one of my four zones is upstairs, and that one's not really a zone to begin with because I don't have a good place to hang a panel. It typically hangs out on my balcony. It's a whole thing. Okay, whatever. Make sure my focus is good because I don't feel like it is. And that's better. So the other thing as it relates to the panels, I think it would be cool to have, because I've always been a fan of one panel, one power station, right? So if I have 3 Beastie power stations and I could come out having like 3 Beastie panels, that would be cool. I still kind of want to get into the 400-watt panels because then that's more of a Beastie panel. I would probably get, let's say, I'm used to getting about 80% output from my panels. So you have a situation where a 400-watt panel, 10 of that is 40. So you subtract 80, you'd be getting about 320 watts of power instead of the 260 that I'm getting from a 320-watt panel. Here's the thing about that Renogy panel. That Renogy panel, depending on the weather and the conditions, it'll get you 318, 319, sometimes even more power. I don't know why. I'm not complaining, but it's something, you need to be mindful of. I also had an issue with the GoLabs R500. I have been kind of using that one. That R500 is an interesting one because I feel like on paper and practically, it seems like one of the better 500-watt-hour lithium iron phosphate power stations you can get. But I've been having an issue where it seems like it's turning off at 31%. I can't blame them because I haven't been monitoring it closely. I'm just doing my initial charge, discharge, charge cycle. So I'm basically been just using it and not paying close attention because that's not what that's about. But I have to monitor it closely because what happened was I had been power dumping into it using one of these, and this can power dump up to 100 watts. It's by Wotobias, but I don't like this one. It seems to cycle through. Like sometimes it goes down and then it comes back up, and I ran into that multiple times. So I'm a little sketchy on this. I may eventually end up emailing them to be like, hey, this thing doesn't work. And this is my second one of these. The other one didn't even work. The light didn't light up on it. But anyway, I was dumping this 100 watts into there. And what was happening is it's getting power in. It's at about 30%. There's no reason why this thing should be turning off. But then a couple of times my son was like, hey, Daddy, the TV turned off. And I'm like, So I wondered if my kids were hitting the button, mainly my little girl. So that's something going on there. I also have the Alcatel P501, which is a 500-watt thing that I figured out the tip for. So that's cool. That's getting in power. I'm still kind of testing that. And then I also have a situation with the Big Blue where I'm going to start editing the video today. I got to work on it because I've talked about it multiple times, but I don't have a video out there of the issue. So I need to do something, even if it's just like, I have an issue. This is what it is. I'm going to continue testing, but I want to have a comprehensive video. That's where it kind of becomes a whole project for me. But that one, you can't trust the screen. That's my conclusion, because I can drain that dip all the way down to its lowest point, plug it in, and then it says it has 60% power left in it. Now, I don't know if that's because I charge all of my power stations from solar. I very rarely charge them from wall power. I don't know if it's just something about being charged from solar makes that percentage inconsistent. It's weird. And I have 2 of them. One is in the box to be returned to them, but they just told me I could keep it. I reached out to them and I had my man James in mind. So I emailed him and I was like, hey, this may be an option for you. Because he's willing to kind of rip it apart if it doesn't work. He may be willing to rip it apart, period. And then I still have to figure out which power station I'm going to give away next. I'm still kind of weighing that, right? The Alcatel charging from solar kind of changes things just a little bit, but I don't know about how much. I have to test it to see how much solar it maxes out at. I have that 180 watt BougeRV panel, so that could be a good contestant, but I want to test that on a more capable device. If the AC200P had the cables, I probably would have used that to test it, right? But be that as it may. All right, I wanted to re-record this video. One last thing, I probably should have put this at the front of the video. If you made it this far, please know that I guess your boy done blew up. I'm getting these scammer comments now. I don't use WhatsApp. I do use Telegram. Just pay close attention to who's commenting under your comments, telling you that you won something. That's not my style. That's not how we do things. At this moment, we do the lives, and then the people who participate on the lives are usually the ones who can win the devices. I have not deviated from that yet, even though I'm trying to figure out a better way to give away the devices. But you need to be mindful that I'm on their radar, as it seems. So These comments that are coming under your comments, ignore them. They are not me. If you look closely, until whoever's setting them up, maybe it's Russia, gets more sophisticated, they just have my picture, but then they say anything in the username. It'll be like WhatsApp user 3579. So be cautious. That's not how I give stuff away. Don't get played. Don't play yourself. All right, holla.